Welcome into Lion Pride Sports. I'm Andrew Rogers here for another coach's edition to our shows, and we are joined now by the Lindenwood women's soccer coach, Coach Dave Musso. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me back.
And Coach, you know, for starters, I think I got to just ask you about the stuff that's growing on your face. Are you already in playoff season?
Playoffs are right around the corner. This time of the year, it always comes out. But the real reason, I want to be like Carl Hutter, who you have next. I want, he's got the beard going. So.
Well, he was clean shaven last time he was here. So did he start growing? It's growing out. Okay, so now both soccer coaches are in the incognito stage. Yeah. They don't want to show off who they actually are. But talking a little bit about the team, the last time we talked, you were actually on your way to go see a recruit. So this is a great question to start this off now. Is when you go into your recruiting process, how did that recruit visit go, and how did you conduct your business?
Everything, it starts real early with our sport, so we're evaluating sophomores. They usually come on campus junior year, start making offers if they're good enough junior year, and they start committing junior, senior year. So it's a long process. It's about building relationships, connecting them with the university, making sure it's the right fit academically, socially, and obviously soccer. And three things we mainly look at are personality. Do they fit in with our program? Are they good soccer players, obviously? But academics is number one, too. Like, are they studious? Do they get good grades? Are they serious about time management and all that stuff? Because that helps them on the soccer field.
Absolutely. And now carrying this conversation over to last week, the last road trip that you guys took was to Washburn and Emporia, and in both games the team fell 1-0, and obviously not the outcome that you wanted. Both were second half goals. What happened in those games?
Yeah, we're pretty close as a program. We're not too far off, but you look at Emporia, they're having a really good year. Their field, they're 7-0 this year on their field. They beat us 1-0. We gave ourselves chances to win that game. Then if you look at Sunday, Emporia beat Central Missouri 3-1 on that field. It's a really worn down field. You can't move the ball much, so you got to grind. They have a girl who can do a long flip throw, which is a huge advantage for them. And we just didn't find a way that game. And then hopefully we were looking for a response at Washburn on Sunday. And it was a pretty even match, but they found a way to turn us and get in on one time. And we had opportunities. We didn't finish ours. They buried theirs. So, but our group is a lot closer than it looks. We're right there. So.
And obviously I wasn't at the games, of course, because you guys were all the way out in Kansas. But when I looked at the stat sheet, 17-6 Emporia outshot us, and 16-6 Washburn outshot us. So when it all comes down to that, scoring chances and those scoring opportunities, when you don't get enough, it obviously showed why Emporia could net one 17 times, or out of 17 times, and Washburn 16 times. So do you feel like we need to keep getting more shots on goal?
Well, the whole thing is trying to play better too, to advance the ball up the field. We have been handed some concussions lately, 4 in the last 5 weeks. So we've been struggling dealing with that. But you know what? As part of it, everybody has injuries, so we just got to suck it up and next person up and go from there. But just focusing on the quality of play and creating opportunities, like you said, to get shots. And I think that's our goal. But one, getting on the ball better, being more confident. And when you start losing a few games, you start questioning yourself as a player. So we got to build them up and get them excited for this next weekend.
And then talking about that next weekend real fast, before we get to that point, I wanted to mention this, and I wanted to know if this was more matchup-based for you in your coaching mindset. But you started Lauren Greenstein in goal in Game 1, and then you went with Megan Swanson in Game 2. So why did you make that move?
Yeah, they're both really good goalies. They have different strengths. Lauren is really good at catching the ball. She's a tall presence. And Emporia, they have a girl that can do a flip throw that launches it right into the 6. And Lauren has a really good hands for that. And we thought, and especially on grass, it'd be a good opportunity for her to thrive. And she did really well. She kept us in that game. And then Megan Swanson on turf, she's really good with her feet, control the distribution part of the game. She does well in that area too, so that's why. But we have good options. It's nice. Last year we could have just gone with Lauren and Lexi, 2 of our goalies, but we added a third just to have a good problem because we have good goalies. So
And now 2 more games, and of course, the first one being against UCM earlier this year, a loss 3-0. This one will be going to Warrensburg now, which is a huge advantage for UCM, you know, playing in front of the home crowd. And with the Lions needing 3 points to lock up an MIAA tournament spot, how are you approaching this game on the road?
One thing that's great is we've already played Central Missouri once, just like Missouri Western. You play that first game, like we lost Missouri Western 3-1 the first time. And you take that film and you learn from that experience and what did we do right and what can we do better. And we ended up winning the next game. So we really have learned from that first UCM game. They were #1 in the country. We came out scared and intimidated. And that's natural with a young team. So now we know that we can play with them because they got up on us 1-0 the last time. After that first goal, we played well. We played Lion soccer and we gave ourselves a chance to tie the game up. And, you know, we made some mistakes, goofy mistakes last game, and a good team like Central Missouri pounced on us. And so it's about us playing a whole 90 and doing well, just playing with confidence and learning from that last game and finding a way to get a result on the road.
And you talked about, you know, the early scoring in that game. That goal came within the first 5 minutes of the game, which really sets the tone for UCM. But when you talk about the change and, you know, you guys were able to adjust the game after, are you going to change the formations at all this game? You know, with a lot of injuries that you guys are dealing with, you really have to mix in a lot of bench players. And I don't know if that goes into changing the actual formation, the structure of your team.
Yeah, well, we have changed the system throughout the season a couple times, but we really got to stick to what we are as a group and run with that. And if we can play in that system the best of our ability, that'll give us a chance to win. But changing things like being more physical, you know, backs maybe getting to attack more, or just having a presence and getting on the ball better. And within our same system, just playing better with more confidence is what we're looking to do.
So are you going to play with more of an attacking style for this game or more of a defensive-heavy style?
Well, against Central Missouri, we do have to respect them. We don't want to open the game up because we do that. They have some really good players, so a lot of space. They can take advantage of that. So defensive, we want to be aggressive when they get the ball, give them no time or space. But then also, once we get on the ball, we want to get up and get forward. But once we do that, after we lose the ball, we definitely have to get back inside. Because there's space and they have good players that can carve us up if we don't do that.
And finally, on UCM, of course, they've lost 3 games this year. You talked about them being #1 in the country when you guys first played them. Now they're second in the MIAA because UCO has emerged. So going into this matchup now, you'd have to feel like those nerves aren't there for the girls.
Yeah, and we have nothing to lose. Like, we've already played them once. We know what they're at. But I mean, we have 2 games this weekend to try to get some points and get into the tournament. Right now, we're playing for the seniors. There's 4 seniors. We're going to jump on their backs and let's go and play fearless with no regrets. And that's what's exciting. Get on the road and just let's go for it.
And then the next game, October 28th, will be the last one. It's the home game here against Northwest. And I would assume this is the senior game, senior night game. Yeah, I would just have to assume that. But what does this game mean for those seniors? You mentioned the seniors. You know, they're playing for their last time. But what does this final home game mean for them?
It's really cool. One, for the whole team to celebrate, you know, our program and seniors who have played here 4 years. And Brittany Steiger, this is her 4th year or her 5th year. And she was actually out the entire year with an internal issue. And now she's played. She started the last 2 games. So it's great to have her presence in the backfield along with Jordan Whipke. So we have 2 senior center backs that I think can really set the tone this weekend. But that senior day is really special. Their families come. We celebrate their careers. And everybody kind of just focuses and steps our game up because they know this is their day and we want to win for them. And I think, you know, we as coaches, we're always looking for motivation on things, and that alone motivates the team, so it's a huge day. And sometimes it can be a distraction and all that, but if you can channel it the right way, I think it's a really fun day.
Yeah, absolutely. A day full of flowers and family and stuff like that.
We need wins.
Exactly. So going into this point now, Northwest being the worst team in the MIAA, they're 1-8. So I wanna approach this question in the matter of how you help guide the girls and into not going in with a mindset of we've already won this game.
Well, to be honest, it doesn't matter who we play. We need to win, and we need to get into that postseason. This program needs to get that taste of postseason magic, and anything can happen at that point. So once you get into the dance, plus there's an automatic bid once you get into the MIAA tournament. So it doesn't matter who we're playing. I even know when we were away on the road, it was a lot closer game than 2-0. I think Lauren had 11 saves that game, so it's going to be a lot tougher. And our players know that. They respect everybody, and we can't go into any game, looking past anybody. That's our last game of the year, and we need those points to get in the postseason.
And then talking more about the postseason, I teased earlier that we need 3 points. We were talking a little bit about this, but what are the other possibilities that could place the Lions in the postseason?
Well, right now we're sitting in the 8th spot, and 8 teams go in. Right below us is Nebraska Kearney with the same exact points. So if they win both of their games, then we're going to have to win both of our games too. But they play Central Oklahoma, who's just a beast right now, and I don't know if they can beat them at that point, but who knows? So we just got to take care of ourselves and see what happens, and if we can get 3 points and maybe 6 or 4. Then maybe somebody ahead of us who goes 0-2, we could jump them as well and get a higher seed. So the main thing is just focusing on ourselves and just see what happens. Do our best, try to get points, and then see where we are.
And then who are you excited most to watch down the stretch?
As far as teams?
As far as players on your team.
Oh, like for next year or down the stretch?
Just down the stretch to the postseason.
I'm excited about our 2 center backs and Olivia, Jordan Whipke, Steiger, who are center backs, Olivia, senior, and then Hannah Averick coming in off the bench, our seniors, because this is their last few weeks of college soccer, and I know they're going to give everything they have, and I'm excited about them. They're just great kids, and we're all pulling for them, and it's just an exciting time in their careers and life, too.
And if you could sum up the seniors in one word, what would that one word be?
A lot of heart. Like they care a lot about the program, and they're people that lead by example. They don't really talk much in these meetings and stuff, but they just are good people. And somebody that if I'm a freshman, I come in, they're a senior, I'm learning from them, and that's how I want to live life. And I know when they graduate from here, they're all 4 of them are going to have amazing careers and just good people.
Well, Coach, good luck to you and your team down the stretch. Again, UCM is the first game that will be in Warrensburg. And then Lions fans, go check them out at home. That is October 28th. It will be the Senior Day game, and we can't wait to watch it. Coach, once again, thank you. When we come back, we will turn it to the men's side and go talk to Coach Carl Hutter of the Lindenwood men's soccer team. That's next on Lion Pride Sports. Welcome back to Lion Pride Sports here. Joined with me, as promised, is the Lindenwood men's soccer coach, Coach Carl Hutter. Coach, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
And now, the biggest move, the biggest, news in Lindenwood sports, and we haven't gotten to talk about it just yet, but the transition to the GLVC. How do you feel about it, and how do you feel it will play a tribute to your soccer program?
Well, I'm delighted about it. It's one of the best conferences in the country, with all respect to the MIAA, and there are some very good teams that we compete against. There's just not that many. This also encompasses a lot of our other athletic programs. There's some emerging sports like lacrosse, and so it'll better encompass our complete athletic program. So, and also, again, it's one of the top conferences in the country. with men's soccer and with women's soccer. So we're delighted.
Yeah, and we
can't.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't talk about how prominent the conference actually is. And when I analyze the schedule, it basically seems like we already play in the GLVC half the time for half the games that we play.
Yeah, we have tried to play as many teams. A lot of them are regionally good because they're so close. They're within a metropolitan drive here in St. Louis or within a 2 to a 4 or 5 hour drive. And we take some longer trips currently with the schedule we have. And plus the schedule is set except for maybe 1 or 2 other games. So we're looking forward to it.
And then finally, just the last note on the GLVC, how do you feel, and you mentioned the travel. Travel's a big thing, but how do you feel now that the Lions and Lindenwood as a whole will be able to make rivalries with a lot of these local schools in the St. Louis area?
Well, quite frankly, we have some good rivalries with Maryville, with Quincy, and with UMSL right here in our neighborhood. And they're good rivalries. I have good friendship with the coaches and stuff. But we've played a number of those schools over the years, and now we're going to get to play schools like Lewis University from Chicago, the University of Indianapolis, Bellarmine University in Louisville. So and of course Rockhurst in Kansas City and William Jewell. It'll be an outstanding level of competition. The games are all really tight because the programs are all really strong.
Well, I'm happy you got to talk a little bit about that. I love hearing the different viewpoints and different concerns and positives from coaches. But now I want to go back to the last game that you guys played. So you guys played against Upper Iowa. That was almost 2 weeks ago, it seems. So about 12 days, I think, is the exact number. But a 4-1 victory. What were your takeaways from that game?
Well, you know, the modern phrase these days is that you're trending this way or that way. So I think we're trending in a really strong and positive direction. We've been trying to work real hard on just to keep coaching our players and keep encouraging them to raise their level, and we've done a much better job in that area. We lost, you know, a couple of games on the road that really put us back in terms of trying to being considered for postseason play. And but that was our last game, and it's not normal to have a 12-day break in your season. But we welcomed it because we were able to recover, to get our legs back under us, but also do some good serious training, some basic ABC training. And I think the groups, they're real tight. They're looking forward to playing. I think they're hungry to play. And so we welcomed it. Normally, it's not normal, but we welcomed it.
And I don't want to jump ahead too far here because I do want to hit on the last 4 games of the season. But something that's really intrigued me is when I was analyzing and breaking down what it's like to make it to the MIAA tournament. It doesn't seem like you guys play in a tournament at all. It's no conference tournament. Is it just one game that you guys play? There's only 5 teams in your conference. So how does that work if you make it to that stage?
It's the reason we don't have a postseason conference. We did for a few years ago, because we had like 6 or 7 teams. That's the minimum that you need to have, is at least 6. And we've had some teams change conferences, so we have 5. That's why we don't have a postseason. So your opportunity to get into the postseason is an at-large bid, and you have to be one of the top 2 teams in the region, not just a conference, but the region.
So that means you guys just play basically an MIAA championship game, then, if I'm correct.
Well, it's just like who are the top 2 teams that are on top, and they'll get the bid to go into the regional tournament and then the super regional. So, you know, you'll get an extra game, and most likely we'll play somewhere in the region against one of our MIAA or GAC opponents, and then we win that, then we'll go on the other side and play against somebody from the Great Lakes Valley. That's usually how it goes. Now, it's possible that we could cross over and play in some other region, but that's just the setup that all the other conferences around the country, most of them all have postseason conference tournaments, and so we have to wait for an extra week before we get to play again, you know, after our regular season's over.
That's very unique, I would have to say.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put that in. With a quick follow-up to that, you guys are 1 game behind, I think 1 win behind Northeastern right now. So you guys are set in 3rd, right? And you have 3 MIAA games left, with one of them being against Northeastern, but you also have a tough matchup too against Fort Hays State, who's the 12th team in the nation. So when we look at that type of mindset, that schedule, what do you feel your chances are of getting there?
Our chances, the best thing we can do right now is take care of our business and win our next game. That's against Ouachita Baptist. That's a regional game, so that's really important. That's our most important business right now, and then we'll worry about what comes after that. But basically, we need to win games, and then we have to hope that we're in consideration. And I think if we win our games one game at a time, then I think we'll be in consideration, and we're just going to have to hope that maybe somebody beats somebody and that we can get that at-large bid.
And I'm happy you said it and not me. Ouachita Baptist. I was telling you a little bit ago that I was, when I was learning about how to pronounce this, I actually went onto their school website and listened to the president talk about the school, because of course it's pronounced or spelled out like O-U-A-C-H-I-T-A. Not how Ouachita should be pronounced, but that's the next game. It's at Hunter Stadium. What are your expectations going in?
You know, they're a battle-tested team. They play a good schedule. Looking at their results, they've had a couple of games where they've had a lopsided loss, and those games are their own journeys because there's different situations that leads to that. I remember a game years ago that we lost by like a lopsided score, and you know, we had some people get ejected from the game because they lost tempers. And so sometimes there's just some different reasons why games are lopsided like that. It's not so much that maybe the team was just so much better. In some cases that is the reason. But in this case with Ouachita, they're a battle-tested team, and they're a tough opponent. They're well coached, and so we're going to make sure that we're ready to go against them.
And since 2016, you guys have, of course, are 3-0 against Ouachita and outscoring them 7-2. But I want to ask you, when looking at the scouting report this year, you mentioned that they're a battle-tested team. Have you seen them make any improvements to better their game this year over the past 2 years?
Well, the coach, he's a young, enthusiastic coach. He knows what he's doing, and he works really hard at recruiting. And there are a couple of young players that are freshmen there that I know real well. One of the players is his dad is a former player of ours. He coaches at Rogers State University, and his son's a freshman there, and he's a really good player. So he works real hard on recruiting, and that's really what you need to do is recruit good people. They have a nice campus there. They have a good wrestling program as well, and some good other sports. It's not, you know, a household name that you know, but at the same time they have a nice campus. They have a good program. They have good facilities, and that's our next opponent. So, and respectfully, if we're playing, you know, the Missouri School for the Blind, you know, we have to be ready to play.
And speaking of your next opponent, let's go to the next opponent in the MIAA now. You guys are facing off against, again, the 12th team in the nation, Fort Hays State. The last time that you guys got a win against them was also in that 2016 season when you guys won 3-2 in Hays, Kansas, but then fell and in the MIAA, I guess, regional tournament
right.
against them. And to just get this right, are there any concerns entering this game, whether that's injuries or is it, you know, since you haven't beaten them in a little ways and how good of a team they are, is this more motivating for the players?
Well, again, you know, respectfully to your question, we're focused on Ouachita Baptist right now. After that's over, then we're going to concentrate completely on Fort Hays. Our players all know what's in store for them and that we have 4 games, but we're really trying to focus on Ouachita Baptist, and we haven't really talked about Fort Hays yet. We've played them. We know about them. They're well coached. They have good players. You know, it's a great school out there in central western, more on the western side of Kansas. So we'll start worrying about them after we try to celebrate a win on Friday.
And then, like you said, I was just about to say that, Friday at 1 p.m., you can check out the Lindenwood men's soccer team at Hunter Stadium. They'll be taking on Ouachita Baptist. Again, here with Coach Carl Hutter. And Coach, just since you said you're focusing on Ouachita, let's dive into Ouachita then. What have you guys been doing in practice to prepare for this game?
We've been mainly worrying about ourselves and trying to refocus on defending as a collective unit, and then working the ball upfield with different types of pattern play. So we work on technique, and we work on a lot of the same basic stuff every day, moving the ball around fast, supporting the ball, and then defending when we lose it. And so in any sport that you play, you work on those techniques and tactical movements and all those sort of things. And you have to find ways to just do that stuff better and at a higher level. And you know, you can't really just make up some stuff so that they're not bored with doing the same thing every day. I think the talent level being raised up is all about the effort and the mentality that the players have. So we keep trying to coach them up, but mainly it's just encouraging them to keep working to raise their level and do what they're doing at a higher, stronger level.
And of course, to win that game, you got to score goals, and Thomas Hutchison and Gasper Alvarez has proved that for you this year so far. Talk about the impact of their play.
Well, they just find ways to get balls in. They're good athletes. They're really fit. They prepare themselves really strongly. And also I want to add Joshua Scholl, who is a sophomore, had 3 goals in the last game, and he's somebody that also has a strong ability to run to the goal. So, everybody has to do their job. Our defenders have to defend, and sometimes in moments in transition, the whole team has to defend, even our attackers. And midfielders have to kind of they're like the glue. They want to get the ball and defend and move the ball between the defenders and the attackers. And so they got to do their job and also help us defend as well. And then our attackers got to create opportunities along with the support from the rest of the team to score goals.
Now, Coach, let's do a send-off here. I know you guys have a lot of seniors and a lot of players losing eligibility after this year. If you could just talk about them or give them some words of wisdom from Coach Carl Hutter, what would you say about that?
Well, always, all the time, in many past years and recent years, always a great cheers to our players that are finishing their eligibility. We have 13 seniors. 11 of them will graduate and also finish their eligibility. 2 of them will graduate, but they have another year of eligibility because they medically redshirted a year ago. That's 2 local guys, Thomas Hutchison and Kyle Weinrich. And so we'll be delighted to have them back for another year in 2019. But to all of them, whether it's somebody that plays more than somebody else, they've all made strong contributions to our program. They've represented our community really well because they do a lot of community outreach, and they're just really good people, and we're looking forward. This time in their lives, for all of them, it's professional development time. And it's interesting to see their faces sometimes when they're getting ready to graduate because they're a little bit like, what am I going to do now? But that's also the professional development part, that they're searching and doing internships and stuff like that. So the icing on the cake is that you get to compete and play at a strong level, but also they're getting ready to step into the next phase of their life. So yeah, we would just want them to have great memories of their time here. And also we tell them every year, we want you guys to be remembered by other people. What kind of history did you make here? And so they've been part of some strong teams. So we just give them a strong cheer and a pat on the back.
Well, Coach, good luck to you guys against Washita on Friday. Again, that game's at 1 p.m. at Hunter Stadium. You can check out the Lindenwood men's soccer team. For Coach Carl Hutter, we thank him a lot. I'm Andrew Rogers signing off for this edition of Lion Pride Sports.